Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome. This is HD, and I'm bringing you guys another StarCraft 2 broadcast. It is currently Sunday. Hope you guys have enjoyed your weekend, and I'm proud to bring you guys a replay here from none other than the little one, who seems to have recently changed his name to Game of Drones. I think that's really funny because I'm sure a lot of you guys are big Game of Thrones fans, otherwise known as A Song of Fire and Ice. I just got up to date with all this stuff because yesterday, this is the reason why I didn't cast any games yesterday, by the way, is because I sat down, I watched the entire Game of Thrones series from episode 1 all the way to, I think, episode 14, because there's 12 episodes in the first season. So I watched all the way up to date, and I've gotten up to date with Game of Thrones. Very awesome series. I'm a fan, newly converted. You guys should definitely check it out. And so in recent news in StarCraft 2, obviously, the little one releasing a replay pack through Team Liquid, and it had about 10 replays or so, and I thought that was really interesting for TLO to release some of his recent replays, and I looked through it and I found this one with him playing against Druid's Luddas. And I don't actually know who Druid's Luddas is. He's a red Zerg, though, at the top left-hand corner, obviously. I have no history with him. He might be a player that TLO ran into on the ladder. He might also be a player that he practices with. Could be a good friend as well. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Obviously, he's playing TLO. He's going to be the Zerg at the top left. And once again, TLO, otherwise known as the Little One, or otherwise known, I guess, today as Game of Drones, is going to be the blue Zerg at the bottom right-hand corner. Of course, as you guys all know, TLO coming back from his carpal tunnel issue with his wrists, playing so much StarCraft 2, coming back and then deciding to switch over to Zerg, and he's been Zerg ever since. So, by the way, guys, I don't know if you all know about this, but TLO recently has been trying to grow out a beard. And if you guys want to see a progress update to that beard, you guys can go check it out at heynicebeard.com. There's a picture of TLO with his beard, and he's kind of starting to look like HDRE, Machine, and In Control, the good old trio. Maybe they'll add him in as well if he ever decides to possibly make a switch over to EG. They all are definitely looking very similar. And that's all I really have to say about that. Yeah, I've been watching a lot of Game of Thrones. Very awesome series. Can't wait to see what happens because I think the newest episode releases today. I don't know how many of you guys watch it. And by the way, in other news, of course, I did download League of Legends because so many people said I should try it out, and I am planning to try it out. I don't know if I should release my first ever video of me loading up the game or not, because I think it's going to be absolutely terrible and I'm going to suck really, really bad. But let me know what you guys think, if you guys think I should show you guys the first video, or if I should wait a little bit and then show it to you guys after I get some practice. Of course, I do have practice in MOBA games, so it wouldn't be absolutely terrible. And it looks like this queen here from TLO, I'm going to have a hard time calling him TLO because his name is Game of Drones. He might be able to kill this Overlord here, also using his Zerglings in order to protect his queen. And he's going to get that Overlord kill. Very nicely done by Game of Drones. And I will leave the name scoreboard up just because it makes it a little bit easier when it is a mirror matchup. So let's see what Druid's Luddas is doing here. He has opted to go with one base play into the hatchery, following that with the Baneling Nest and speed and gas and all of the good stuff as well. So he's going to have the ability to be a little bit more aggressive to open things up with. I believe the little one opened up with an earlier hatchery, and we can see he didn't mine an ounce of Vespene yet. So most certainly here he will be playing the economic style of ZVZ, and we can see already having that drone advantage. But of course, when you have that drone advantage, you are forced to invest a little bit into a defense matrix. And we can see some of those drones going into a spine crawler. The little one now having plenty of queens on the field, at least 3 at the moment, and he's making a 4th one as well. I'm actually a big fan of having a lot of queens when you play any matchup, and a Zerg versus Zerg, I think it really emphasizes that because you never know when that Muta switch might be coming for you. And creep spread is still very important in ZVZ, and finally on top of that, with enough queens, as we can see here, Mr. Game of Drones can wall this off from left to right. I wonder if TLO watches Game of Thrones. He must. Either that or he's using an alternate account here that somebody does watch Game of Thrones with. But anyways, very, very interesting. And we can see Druid's Luddas here beginning to mine some drones over to the natural. He's trying to catch up in economy right now. Of course, he opened up with the less economic build in ZVZ, but that does mean he will have the tech advantage. In fact, he's banking up 360 Vespene gas at the moment. And we'll have to see where he's going with that gas. You know, at this point, when you're mining this much, I would even pull drones off of gas, but it seems like he's making another extractor, and he's still keeping 3 on the geyser. Very interesting here, and he's beginning to throw down a Roach Warren. We could have a big Roach play, a big Roach production after the Roach Warren finishes. And he's also got an Evolution Chamber coming down with a 3rd geyser following as well. Evolution Chambers and Roach Warrens also coming up for TLO, and you know, it looks like both players here are going to go in the Roach on Roach phase. By the way, I haven't casted a ZVZ in a while, so I was looking through the replay pack, and at first I was looking for prominent names, but I noticed that in this replay pack he didn't play anybody that popped out to me, so I decided to pick the replay with ZVZ first, and the replay to me would seem most interesting, and this one was the first one. I might cast some other ones as well, depending on the feedback of this replay. Of course, there's always other big names on the rise. And by the way, guys, I haven't even talked about this map. This is Ohana. While the action begins to pick up, Ohana is a new map that was introduced in NASL Season 2 as well as GSL, the current season. And it looks like the 3rd hatchery is going to come up for Game of Thrones, and the Zergling will get that full scout and run back home. And this map actually, I guess it's supposed to be like Ohana, kind of like out there in the Hawaiian Islands or something like that, because it is an island and we can see a lot of, you know, lakes and rivers and bodies of water around the map. But it's a very interesting map. I like the map design. And it looks like this hatchery might just go down here as TLO is going to force to cancel. Very nicely done by TLO, who actually was able to transition his early economic lead into a Zergling advantage and has been able to take out the hatchery. That Overlord is going to go down as well, so... Oh! Baneling's coming out here for Druids! And nice control by TLO, but it ends up backfiring on him as he loses some more Zerglings, and now the Roaches coming out for Druids, who has currently 12 Roaches on the field. TLO is going to have to play a little catch-up to get back and get enough Roaches on that level. He's currently at 6. And before the action really picked up, I was talking about this map is Ohana, and to me it kind of reminds me a little bit about Belshir Beach, but not nearly as massive, I don't think. You know, the first 3 bases look pretty similar from north to south, but then in the middle of the map you don't have nearly as many bases, and I don't think it's nearly as vast. Still 2 Xel'Naga towers, though, with TLO controlling the northern one right now. And let's just look at a bit at the divergence in tech paths here, as TLO is opting to go for pathogen glands, which means, of course, he's going to have infestors coming out fairly soon once that... Well, I would imagine he's going to make some right now, because the upgrade is over halfway finished. And you usually want to wait until the upgrade has at least processed halfway, so that you can take advantage of the upgrade when the infestors come out. And Druids right now really just focusing more of a Roach style, mass Roach style base play. And let's take a look at his upgrades right now. Currently researching Tutu on the Evolution Chambers, and actually TLO really slow behind in the upgrades. Only has 1 weapons and just now beginning to finish up 1 armor, but of course that's because he invested his early gas into his infestors. So TLO will have the infestor advantage here. Druids will have the overwhelming Roach numbers advantage, in fact by about 20 right now, 34 over 16, and he's also going to have the upgrade advantage, and we're about to find out what's better, raw brute force or barfing and vomiting. Of course, TLO does have the backup of his spine crawlers as well. And it looks like we do have a move out of troops here from Druids. Druids, I think, looking to be in a little bit better shape because he can control the map, but I don't think he can push that advantage all the way to attacking one of TLO's bases because of the defensive advantages of, obviously, of spine crawlers, and of course because infestors are so damn good at defending as well. But he can certainly camp the border of the creep here. Neither player, of course, note, neither player going for Hydralisks. And it looks like TLO feeling a little comfortable here and might want to push out, but he has Queens in tow, and they are off the creep now, and of course much slower when they're off creep. TLO might actually have his control group a little bungled right now with his Queens attached to his main army, or perhaps he's just bringing the Queens along for the ride. This is very interesting. By the way, 2-2 now just starting up for TLO, but it is leagues behind Druids. Druids also now beginning his pathogen glands upgrade while TLO grabs another hatchery. And TLO also taking this advantage to the hive level with his Hive starting much sooner than his opponents. So it's really, I think both players are pretty even right now. Obviously, the supply tab doesn't reflect that entirely because it's 172 over 154, but we have to remember that's because Druids has so many more roaches on the field. Failing that, though, his tech is far, far behind. Well, I suppose not his upgrades, but his technology in terms of infestors and Hive tech is far behind Mr. Game of Drones right now, Mr. TLO, but his upgrades do have a significant advantage. So it is a pretty close game now when you balance everything out on the scales of StarCraft 2. Druid's now trying to maybe take out another hatchery. This is the 5th coming up for TLO, whereas Druid still has not grabbed a 4th or 5th base yet. He's trying to, but TLO brings his Roach there just in the nick of time. And that is going to be denied. Very nicely done right there as the Roaches come and clean that up. And no doubt we're going to see Druid's attempt to get the hatchery, but we have some infestors here in the back of the mineral fields with 2 infestors coming in, popping out a bunch of infested Terrans and killing off 14 workers total. Nice job by TLO. A little bit of an incognito underground submarine attack, and he kills off several workers. And that is going to hurt quite a bit, and he still has this infestor alive in the background here. A spore crawler trying to come up, but that might just be barely out of range of the spore crawler. We'll see once the crawler finishes, and detection has been granted. But there is an Overseer. Oh, the Overseer it will be able to see it. So that last infestor is going to go down. That could have been a thorn inside of Druid's base for a long time. Let's check a look at the income tab. At 60 and 62, so TLO evening out the drone numbers, but we're still waiting for that massive engagement, which at this point still hasn't occurred yet. Both players playing extremely macro solid. Druids, though, is behind on bases. He's going to have to try to secure these 2 and start to get some saturation going, whereas TLO has already secured both the 4th and the 5th, and we can see saturation beginning right about now. Note as well, both players are maxed out. This is a pretty tenuous situation. At any moment, absolute war can break through. We can see small patches, pockets of resistance, if you will, from Roaches beginning to strike over at the 5th. That is going to bait the entire army to the right here. Does TLO have some type of plan up his sleeve, or is he just trying to harass the hatchery? Will he be able to get the kill? He's actually beginning to use Burrow right now, but an Overseer comes in range. Very smart, very wise of Druids to bring that Overseer. And, you know, at this late game in ZVZ, oh, we have some Roaches going after the Infestors, and there's an Overseer ahead as well, so the Infestors cannot burrow to escape being killed off, but it looks like Roaches coming back to save their Infestors, and Druids maybe losing a couple, but nothing too serious, I don't think. It does kind of suck, though, because, you know, Infestors are like a fine wine. The longer you wait, the better they age, and they lose all that energy when they die. It looks like we have Infested Terrans striking both hatcheries at the same time. Druids now bringing it back with some subterranean attacks and killing off about 4 workers, so nothing too serious yet. And interestingly here, TLO switching into Hydras into the late game. And Hydra's not nearly as cost efficient as Roaches, but you know, the thing about Hydras, the nice thing about them is if your opponent makes that switch into Brood Lords or even into Mutas, like a surprise switch, Hydras are very effective against that. So we'll see what happens here. Another pocket of Roaches coming to the right at the 5th hatchery. Might try to take out this one, and it is in the orange. Previously weakened to another Roach attack, and the hatchery is going to fall. Nice job by TLO. And now he's going to begin to burrow underground to hide away from the Roach attacks. There is an Infestor squad completely left bare and naked in the middle of the map as well. Surprisingly, TLO not taking advantage of that, but probably not paying attention. But here we go. He's going to send some Roaches up, man. That is just 5 free age made better Infestors right there. They have Infestors accumulated energy for a very long time. And like I said, man, if you can kill those Roaches off, it's such a big blow to the other Zerg, but it looks like he's going to be able to protect them. And, you know, oh, nice Infestor Fungal by TLO. Another following up Fungal. Does he have more energy? Oh, my goodness. TLO's in a fantastic position. The Roach is now at half HP due to the continuous Fungal, but it looks like Druid's coming in with a Fungal of his own. And really, this is Hydras against Roaches, and Roaches, I do believe, are more cost efficient than Hydras are. But I think TLO is going to have the better concave, the better firepower. He's going to be able to win out the battle. But remember, to replace the Hydras and replace the Roaches, it's much more expensive to replace Hydralisks. It looks like TLO will continue to give chase. He was able to win out that battle, and chasing now off of his creep into no man's land, and now maybe taking this opportunity to try to strike over at the 5th once again. And it looks like an egg was killed off. Maybe it was blocking the hatchery. And just kind of this little tug-of-war action. I'm actually really excited to cast a ZVZ because I haven't done one in I think about a month or two already. And obviously, you know, I try to bring you guys more of the ZVPs, ZVTs, ZVZs. But it's always fun once in a while to bring you guys some of the interesting mirror matchups. What better way than to watch Game of Drones and Druids, and they're going at it. It's still undetermined who's going to win. It's a very close game. We do have Brood Lords coming out right now from TLO. 2 of them, in fact, make that 4. And TLO is going to have 4 Brood Lords in the skies, plenty of Hydra air defense as well to back those up. Couple of Roaches coming over to the left, as well as Roaches coming over to the right. Now, these are going to get picked off by the Crawler. I don't see them doing too much damage. These, however, have forced the cancel on the hatchery, and another big victory by TLO. Nice job. What is this Infestor going to do? It is burrowed right now. It could actually stay underneath the hatchery just to be annoying. Nope, it's not. It is going to spawn Infested Tyranids, and it's going to hope to catch Druids off guard, maybe before he can get the cancel. Unlikely, though. Players of this caliber usually pretty on point with their attention and their multitasking, and so that hatchery is going to be canceled off and the funds will be recuperated. But the problem here is Druids does not know that Brood Lords are coming. At least I don't think he does, but he should now, and he has really no anti-air answer. Actually, he's making 7 Corruptors, so I suppose he will have an answer momentarily. Wow, this is a pretty long ZVZ game still without I'm not actually sure who's going to win this game. It's probably going to come down to one of those massive battles. I actually have never seen a ZVZ going this far into the macro phase with so little major action. We've seen minor battles and skirmishes across the map, but no serious major battles as of yet. I think there might have been one. And that's just going to mean the final battle is going to be absolutely epic. We do have some Roaches here. Druids trying to come in with a counter, but Crawler placement from actually both players now is starting to look very sufficient. In fact, far more than sufficient, and that's going to make it very difficult for Roaches or even Burrowed Infestors to do any type of damage. But here we go, a couple of Crawlers uprooting, trying to get up into the borderline of the creep. Oh, great fungal growth by Game of Drones. TLO, you're a master at that, but he has no concave on the ground, and the enemy Roaches are doing so much damage to TLO right now. He's going to lose a bunch of his Hydras. In fact, his main standing ground army is going to be devastated as his Brood Lords are forced back by the Corruptor squad, and that's the problem with going Mass Hydra Roach against Roach Corruptor. Druid's Lattice just has the better composition, more sturdy, more powerful, and he's going to win this battle out. TLO might want to regroup and refocus his efforts here. He might have to sacrifice his Brood Lords, it looks like. He just doesn't have enough anti-air to compete against the Corruptors, and his Brood Lords are going to soon be extinct as they drop down. Druid's also making an attack over here to the 5th, trying to take this opportunity to kill off another hatchery, and he will. There was no queen there for the transfuse, and another hatchery has dropped down. Game of Drones, aka TLO, quickly trying to replace that. What he needs right now is the wall. Don't know if you guys watch Game of Thrones, but I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. The wall to the north to prevent all of these Roaches from coming down south and invading his territory. But it looks like he's going to extend north here, and he's going to force the cancel once again. So you know what? TLO has been doing a very good job of keeping his opponent from mining this fit base. In fact, let's just take a look at these patches. 1440, 1465. I mean, good golly, some of these mineral patches down here have not even been touched yet. They're still virgin minerals, if you will. So Druids needs to get that 5th base mining. In fact, if we could look at the resource tab, and I don't want to hit the wrong hotkey, so I'm going to bring you the resource tab. Actually, is there a resource spending tab? Something like that. We should be able to tell that Druids has not been mining nearly as much as TLO, but I don't think this tab really reflects what I'm trying to tell you guys. What I'm essentially trying to say is TLO has been mining a lot more than Druids has off of the 5th base, and you know, Druids needs to fix that issue, needs to rectify it. Of course, the thing, of course, is Druids is still doing a phenomenal job throughout these battles, man. He has the better composition. TLO needs to get off the Hydra bus, I think. There is also a Nidus network coming up here from TLO, so we are about to see what made TLO so famous is his ability to be so creative in battle situations. He can definitely get crazy with the best of them. Love the Bird Roach as well here, preventing the hatchery from going down, but we have some Brootlings coming in here as Druids has now made the switch and basically making a bunch of his Corruptors into Brootlords, and he's still got a huge air fleet to follow that up as well. And right now it looks like TLO going for Adrenal Glands, as well as flyer attacks, ground attacks, and melee, trying to catch up in upgrades. But there's a big battle in the air here, as Druids has come in with all of his forces. He gets fungled, though. A lot of his forces have been fungled down. Will TLO, the Blue Zerg, have enough to compete against the air units following from Druids? I don't think so. Druids just has way too many Corruptors, but of course, TLO still has Hydras on the ground, but his Hydras are forced to fight against Roaches, and it looks like TLO is just going to lose most of his army here, but quickly remaxing is TLO. Both players, note, have tons of banked resources. That's a result of being on 4 to 5 bases for the last 30 minutes or so, so they can continue this war of attrition for a very long time, and TLO actually making a Nidus Worm, oh my god, right next to the vulnerable tech of Druids here, and a lot of tech could fall down. It looks like Druids is now falling back to try to defend his homeworld. He might lose the Infestation Pit, that could be a big blow, but what we're really looking to see here is the Greater Spire. Will the Greater Spire go down? Of course, it looks like TLO is going to try to work down the buildings in the front first. He gets the Infestation Pit, and will he fall back or stay? It looks like he's going to choose to stay, but that might have been a mistake, as now Infestors have joined the fray. And that should be enough to kill off these Roaches. And TLO, will he fall back in time? He's trying to get out of the way before another fungal comes, and he will escape. So a blow to the Infestation Pit, and even forcing, look at that, another spawning pool to come up for Druids, because Druids, I guess for a second, they're resigning to the fact that he might have, in fact, he made a spawning pool, a Roachhorn, and a Spire. Maybe resigning to the fact that he was going to lose his main. But that's nice. Now he's going to have a little bit of redundant technology in case he does. And TLO coming in through the left here. This is actually getting really close. One thing to note, though, is Druids has almost 4K banked up. 4,000 minerals banked. His gas not nearly on point, but 4,000 minerals still is a huge... it's a huge bond. It's like a treasury bond to lean back on, something that if you do go bankrupt at some point in the future, you can always call upon that little banknote and then invest it, and then boom, out comes a billion Zerglings. That can be the huge difference maker here in this matchup. And we'll just have to see. We'll have to see what happens. It looks like finally Druids may be beginning to think about securing this pit, and I shudder to think what will happen when Druids is able to obtain this. His minerals is going to skyrocket to maybe 10,000. And the fact that he has 4,000 right now just means that battle after battle, Druids has come out more cost efficiently. He has not lost as many units as TLO has. TLO has had to take chunks out of his retirement savings in order to continue this war effort. And I think a lot of that attributed to the fact that he's gone for this Hydra composition, which I don't think in ZVZ is that effective. But who knows? Maybe he'll make it work. We'll have to see. He's trying to attack over here to the 4th. And he might be trying to go after some of these Infestors, but that's not going to happen. These Roaches, though, were able to get inside the drone line and kill off a significant number of drones here. And it doesn't even look like Druids is responding to this. Is he just letting his drones drop down? It's quite possible here that Druid says, you know what, I have so much money banked up, I don't really care if I lose my drones. In fact, you're doing me a favor. And then he's going to clear up some supply and maybe use that for more army. That could be what he's doing right now. And now he's finally coming in and cleaning that up. But you know what? He's still got 35 workers, and that's actually plenty. It's more than enough to mine out the rest of the map. There's only one actual base left for Druids to mine. So, and that's this one, which TLO is now trying to stake a claim to. So that's very interesting dynamics here into this game. Going into the 33-minute mark now, and I still don't know who's going to win. Of course, the army from Druids Lattice is really, really strong. And, you know, the army from TLO, just Hydras, Broodlords, a few Broodlords. His army really does not look that strong at all. If we look at the army tab, 185 to 190. So it's pretty close. Not quite sure where the rest of TLO's standing army is. Looks like that hatchery was canceled off. And, oh, the Spire went down. But, of course, that was a replacement Spire. That was not the real Spire, which is a Greater Spire over here. And I think that Spire went down to a couple of Zerglings, so nothing too serious. As TLO is just sending little strike squads right now. He's going for Hitman squads. He's going to try to kill off another hatchery here. And the real blow here, if Druids does lose the hatchery, is not the resources that he could have mined, but rather the larva production that he will lose out on. And I don't know, whoa, TLO sending some drones now over to the top right. Maybe he's thinking about sacrificing a couple of drones here. And now down to 63 is what he's at. That's very interesting, using drones with their pitchforks in hand to take down the hatchery. And I guess we'll see what happens over there, but the main action could be coming pretty soon here. One infestor goes down. The infestors here for TLO are absolutely important. He's got to get good fungal growths off. Meanwhile, he was able to kill off this hatchery, but no one making a hatchery there now because all the attention is in the middle of the map. And TLO and Druids going at it here. It's a massive air battle. TLO actually has mustered up a decent Corruptor squad. 2-3 are his upgrades. Druids at 2-1. So TLO has the air upgrade advantage. And he has Hydras and Spine Crawlers in the back as well. And now sending in his Zerglings. Will TLO have enough to break this army? It still doesn't look like he has enough Corruptors. Even though he had the upgrade advantage, the raw numbers from Druids overpowering him. And now TLO's got to make a bunch of Corruptors. I don't think he's got the gas to do it. He's just going to rely purely on Zerglings. We do have a counter. Drones and Zerglings going to the top right. That's awesome. And maybe that is going to be the one shining hope for TLO. The counter-attack backstab with drones and Zerglings. They're killing off a hatchery. One hatchery has gone down. So not a bad blow at all. Fungal growth coming out once again. This is what TLO needs to do. He needs to fungal down these Corruptors. The Corruptors are very weak right now. He just needs a couple more fungals. In fact, he has Queens in the background. He can kill off the rest of the Corruptors. TLO could be making a hold here. He's got so many Crawlers to fall back to as well. Meanwhile, on the frontier, Druid's losing some of his infrastructure, but that is the backup infrastructure, and I don't believe it. I don't believe it. TLO makes it. He wins the game, and Druid's sacrifices. He gives up. Druid's GG's unreal. And you know what? I'm looking at the banked resources right now. He's still at 2,200 banked up, but his gas was definitely a limiting factor. And you know what? He still had gas that he could have mined over here at the 4th. I'm not too sure why Druids decided to just, up and give up there. I'm actually really surprised that, I think a lot of that coming down to this attack here into the grid of Crawlers. It was an absolute gauntlet for Druids to run through. And at the end of the day, it just wore out his forces. In fact, let's just rewind a few minutes. I'm starting to do this a little bit more, and I actually really like it. A little post-game analysis for you guys. Let's see here. Let's go to the 34-minute mark. That was when the action was picking up here in the middle of the map. And if you look at the banked resources and the supply tabs for both players here, as the battle was beginning here in the last couple of minutes of the game, we can see that both players are pretty much maxed out. But Druids has about 1,500 more minerals than his opponent did. And yet he lost this game. I think it was a little bit premature on the GG, but he could have still mined some more gas and stayed in the game. But yet he lost this game. I think because let's just bring this tab back up. Because, well, this little army of pitchforks in hand was destroying his infrastructure inside out. That kind of hurt. But that wasn't the major reason why. The major reason why was because he had attacked through this grid of Crawlers. And now look at this moment right here when he had complete dominant air control. Look at how many Corruptors he had in the skies. He was winning the supply tab here at 157 over 140. And really, I think this game was his to take. He should have pulled back, I think, at this point, defended his bases, and secured the 5th hatchery. I think that's what he should have done. And continue to play macro, because there really is no... I don't think there's a reason to attack into this grid. You don't know how far the grid extends, and you don't know how many reinforcements TLO can muster up. And this is another mistake from Druid, stacking up his Corruptors for that. Losing his anti-air here was an absolute no. And, losing that means his Broodlords are now vulnerable, and the attack is pretty much done for. Look at his Roaches now just being massacred from all sides by Crawlers. And let's not forget about the Pitchforks. So, I don't know. I don't really think Druids needed the GG there. He was definitely not out of the game yet. He just should have just pulled back, I think, at this point when he encountered the resistance from the Crawlers. But regardless, what a game. Let's just look at the upgrades too. That might have been a big difference maker. 3-0 on the ground for Druids. Of course, his air was not nearly as high as TLO's. And I believe TLO was, 3-2. So at one moment in this game, Druids was winning the upgrade department, but towards the end, TLO really pulled it ahead. And that is that could be a byproduct of the fact that he did have the 5th base, he did have the the extra, what would that be? The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th gases. So that could be another reason too. But regardless, what a game by TLO, and what a pick from the replay pack. I think all these replays might actually be pretty good and worthy of a look at. So let me know what you guys think. I am like I said, I'm a big fan of Game of Thrones, so we'll see if Game of Drones makes a comeback in the next YouTube cast that I do. Thanks a lot, guys, for tuning in. Keep the constructive criticism coming, and keep the comments coming as well. Love all the support and all the feedback. We'll see you guys in the next video. HD signing out.